Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Beyond Quests with Reck. And Stacy, welcome to the show. This is the first time you've been the guest on the show. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, well, I was part of the celebration for book one, which was a lot of fun. So, yay.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
So glad to have you. Well, we're just going to give folks a couple minutes to hop on. We've already got a few people in the audience. So, hey, folks, thanks for joining. Stacy, first of all, I need your help. How do you say your last name?
Fontenot.
Fontenot. Okay. Not in a million a million tries would I say Fontenot. So thank you for.
Okay. I just have to ask, is there something off with the audio, or did along with my camera, my audio go weird?
I can hear you fine.
Perfect. Okay. That's all that matters.
If you're in the audience and you're having trouble hearing Stacy, let me know, but I can hear you. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
So Stacy is on the show tonight, and you are a braille transcriber. Yeah. And I was like, we met last year at LitRPG Con, so our friendship is about to hit our 1-year anniversary, which is exciting. And it sounds like they can hear you from the audience, so that's good. And it's been amazing. Like, you reached out to me early on in Stumbling Up 1, and we're like, hey, would you be interested?
It was, I think I have the greatest story about coming upon Stumbling Book 1, because it was at last year's LitRPG Con, and we found a little slug with a QR code. So whenever I was standing in line, I was reading it on Royal Road.
Yeah.
And by Sunday, I was like hunting people down, like, do you know who this is? And then somebody was wearing a shirt, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that Richard the Slug? Where did you get that? Like, over there. So yes. And then I was in the cozy panel, and Aaron Ampersand finally pointed you out. So I was so happy because we were leaving early as well. So that was our last panel. So I'm like, yes, score.
Found him. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to thank Aaron for that. And I guess the slugs, all the printing, 3D printing with slugs, it's kind of a pain in the butt to print those, but it got me you. So no regret.
Oh, good. At least there's success there.
Yeah. Victory. Yeah. I'm super excited to see you again at the con. It's going to be great.
I am too.
Jen's in the chat, and they say that they're actively stamping slugs for this year's con. We're still working on getting little stickers on the bottom of the slugs. So yeah.
Oh, that's fiddly work. Good job, Jen. Keep up the good work.
Jen. All the love, hun. Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you for coming on the show. We're going to have a great conversation here about accessibility and writing. And I'll say that not everybody is maybe going to go all the way to put their writing in braille, but there's a lot of things that people can do to make their books more accessible. So
yeah,
we're going to get into it.
And it is one of those things, like, not every book needs to be put into braille, because we are at a time where EPUBs are accessible when they are made as such. And individuals with print disability can have that full reading experience.
Yeah. For instance, my mom, who is 85 this year, she loves her Kindle and being able to increase font size to I'm not sure how many words are on the screen at that time, but it works for her, right? I think that's one thing about accessibility that people, when they are like, oh, it costs money, or it's like trying to limit accessibility for things, they don't realize that most people, if you live long enough, have accessibility issues, whether that's, visual or hearing or physical.
Right.
I've had 2 major knee surgeries and have had to relearn how to walk twice as an adult. So like,
you may have a temporary disability, or it may be a lifelong. When I was reading up on some things, I came across one where it's not only visual impairment, it's print disabilities.
Yeah.
And one that I had never been aware of before was individuals where they do need to pause reading and have it coincide with an audio and have that match, because the print becomes something that can give them headaches or vertigo.
Yeah.
And I had never heard about that. So I I was excited to learn that, yes, even though we're thinking in terms of visual impairment, these types of accessibility that can be built into our ebooks go far and beyond.
Yeah, 100%. And so there's just some basic things like for that, just having like whisper sync on your books. Like this is a setting that when you set up your audio, it's just a check that you can click that allows people to have the audio running while it's got the visual of your, Kindle Unlimited or your Kindle copy up. That just simple things like that can really make a difference for people. So we're going to talk through a lot of that. Before we really get rolling, Stacy, how would you like to be addressed by folks when they see you at the con?
Stacy is fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
I'm she, her, Stacy. So that would be great.
Okay. Thanks, Stacy. All right. So let's talk a little bit more. So I don't know. I mean, accessibility is important. I know I would love to live in a world in which we don't have to tell people that accessibility is important. And I'm hoping if you're here listening to this, you agree that accessibility is important. I think we're in a unique position as myself, I'm an author, where there's decisions that I can make when I'm producing my book, and there's decisions that you can make when you're talking to a publisher about your book and like how you want your book to be available that really make a difference in allowing people access to it, allowing people to enjoy and have that experience, right? And so that's really what we're going to dig into. So if you're interested at all, please share this. This is all recorded, and so people can watch this later if they aren't able to make it tonight.
Perfect. Yeah.
Hey, Alicia, glad you could join us. Yeah.
Hey.
All right. So Stacy, let's talk first about your job. You're a braille transcriber. What does that mean?
I take print and I turn it into braille. It's a tactile medium. I turn it into braille and tactile graphics. My primary expertise is with math science and the associated tactile graphics. Doing K through 12 textbooks. I have done work for students in university settings, and but predominantly my job is transcribing textbooks, a full textbook into braille.
Which I think sometimes gives you like this unique ability to understand like LitRPG spreadsheet boxes. Right?
Yeah, but the whole component of it the whole genre works really well for me.
Yeah, 100%. I will say, because we've been working with each other for the last year doing Stumbling Up 1 and 2, it's been this really interesting experience with you. And in some respects, you're like almost like a second proofreader, because you've caught things that like, the spell checkers haven't caught. Everybody. Yeah.
That's a unique relationship that you and I have that typically does not fall on a braille transcriber. I mean, a braille transcriber should be doing exactly what's in print. Errors in print are in braille. It needs to match. But when it's you and I working together, it's a different relationship. So it's, but that's, I just want to cover all the other braille transcribers out there that's not your job.
We'll just say it. It's not,
Yeah. But it's been really, for me, since I do primarily educational materials, this has been a breath of fresh air to be able to do a novel, to do it with somebody who I care about, whose work I really enjoy. But I've been trying to earn my proofreading certification for braille.
Yeah.
So it's given me that literary component to practice that skill as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about this a little bit. So some of the things that have, like popped out as we've been working together is that the braille really does. It's very, very like tied to the text, from everything from like italics to punctuation. I mean, and there's moments where, I'll find an error later and, get back to you and be like, hey, there's this error because you need to go fix it on the braille side. So can you talk a little bit about how that transcribing, like how exact is it when you go between the two? Yeah.
So the interesting thing about braille is the code is called Unified English Braille, and it is a worldwide code. It had not been like that 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when the new code came about, that was one of the fundamental purposes of the code, was that a print meaning, the semantic component of that character, has a distinct meaning in Braille.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see an apostrophe and a straight single quote as the same thing. In Braille, they are not the same thing. So there's that semantic component that makes it good for readers to have that. So when the work has appropriate typography, it does reflect more appropriately when it is done in Braille, which can be done on the fly for users with their refreshable Braille displays. So an ebook that is done will be in Braille, that contracted Braille. So contracted just means that it gets shorter. So like the word "the," instead of being 3 letters, turns into 1 Braille cell, meaning THE. Yeah. And so refreshable Braille cells will displays, not cells, will do that for the reader. And so that's another component of when an author's workflow considers those components in the back end, it becomes a more pleasurable reading experience.
Yeah, no, 100%. Thanks for that. I do want to, something else that you just kind of skimmed over, and I just want to make sure people understand, is that Braille also, in our experience together, there's the paper Braille that's printed out that you can read in like physical books, but there's also e-Braille formats that there's like refreshable Braille readers that people can get these days. So so for Stumbling Up, I have the e-Braille format on my website for free for folks to be able to download and use, and so you can make I don't know. Is there something that you want to talk about, like the different formats of Braille?
Yeah. So, So when Braille is printed, it's called embossed because those dots are embossed into the paper. Mm-hmm. And typically there's different Braille formats, but BRF is a Braille ready file. And that's typically what we see as the digital file shared for embossing. And then there's a new one, which is the eBraille file. That's takes off from that BRF because it's reflowable, and it makes it so there's that additional level of ease in reading because the margins and the formatting stay in line because it reflows according to the type of device, because every refreshable Braille device can be of different lengths. And so
so it's like your small Kindle reader versus your big Kindle reader versus your whatever, right?
Well, yeah, some that's a new thing that's coming on the market, are multi-line Braille displays, so that it's not just reading one set of Braille cells. It can be multiple on a screen. So the technology is really starting to take off.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, let's talk about accessibility standards. So not everybody's, like we said, not everybody's going to go all the way to having an eBraille or a BRF format. Sure. So there's accessibility standards that you can do. You want to talk a little bit about how we can format our novels better for folks?
Yeah, so definitely appropriate hierarchy. Having those centered headings, the H1, H2, H3. This is, before we kind of get a little bit more in the weeds here, mm-hmm. I'm always on the back end of this kind of thing, and you're on the front end. You're the writer creating it, and I'm on the back end. So sometimes the idea doesn't coincide, or the lingo doesn't stay the same. So mm-hmm. I hope that does. It's heading 1, heading 2. I mean, it's Word.
Yeah. So if you're in the chat and you're a little confused, just go ahead and ask a question, or say, oh, I don't understand what that means. But in Word, there is like heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, where it like auto formats to that heading standard that is in Word, and you can change those heading standards and stuff, but it signifies that it's a specific type of size. Yeah.
And having those styles is very important, because when it goes out into EPUB, you can style up your book differently. And so if it's needed for an accessible end, those styles aren't a part of the text. It's part of the style sheet, because EPUB is really like that HTML with the CSS file. So these are the same types of technologies. And the reason that works well with an EPUB is there are standards for accessibility that are associated with HTML and CSS. And so those can kind of influence and roll over into the creation of ebooks as an EPUB. And there's guidelines that are outline, the WCAG guidelines, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and they put levels. They have a series of levels that you can meet, and what each level has a designation or certain things that it meets. You know, you have to have a certain amount of metadata for your book, letting readers know what accessibility features are integrated into it. If you have images that are pertinent to your text and they're not just decorative, that you have some alt text associated with it to describe it, to let a user that isn't able to participate with that printed image or on your ebook can get the same type of information. So you have metadata guidelines, you have things about navigation, like the heading hierarchy, or having a robust table of contents with linkable appropriate content. And this all seems to be something that sounds like, oh my goodness, well, how is this happening? And we are at a time where that is becoming very integrated into the software packages that we're using. When I was telling you about the guidelines, I was like, oh boy, we're going to have to do some research and figure out how this is done. And you came back and were like, okay, it just exported fine at CAG 2.1 level A. I'm like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit, right? So one of the software packages that a lot of authors use, especially indie authors, is Vellum. And if you use Vellum as your formatting tool, then it auto kind of, if the baseline Vellum kind of auto imposes the hierarchy that Stacy's talking about and provides you a table of contents. Like you actually have to like turn a table of contents off if you don't want it. And so Vellum specifically meets just at base level some of the WCAG, accessibility guidelines, right? So it's a nice thing, Now, if you use a different program besides Vellum, I maybe haven't used it, I don't know, but that's a question to ask yourself when you're looking at a formatting tool: does this formatting tool meet WCAG guidelines for accessibility? So Vellum, you're safe. The only problem with Vellum is you do have to be on a Mac. So we actually had to get a Mac to do it, which is challenging.
If somebody is on a Windows or has invested in something that they're already invested in, there's Ace by Daisy. And that's what's actually, I believe, integrated into Vellum. And Ace is a separate thing with the Daisy consortium. And it's designed for you to run your EPUB and do some accessibility check, and it tells you where maybe you could increase what you could do better in your book in order to increase your level.
It's like a accessibility QA check where you put your novel into it and it spits out like, oh, you're missing a hierarchy or contents, or your table of contents is great, but it needs to be linkable or whatever. Like it gives you a bunch of advice.
You stated that way better than I did. So,
it's funny because when you first told me about Ace by Daisy, you and I went back and forth because I had such a hard time understanding what exactly it was. Because I'm like, wait a second, it doesn't format it for me. It took us a little bit going back and forth. But there's a GitHub. If you do. There we go. If you do a Google, you can Ace for Daisy. You can get onto the GitHub and it'll give you the program that will check your document for you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, my cord came out of my laptop and I didn't even realize it, and it was like, okay, you're on
like
battery.
Low battery. Yeah.
Yeah, that it was really interesting working with you and having that discussion and seeing what it was, because Daisy says you want to try to meet WCAG 2.0 level A, strive for level double A. You exceeded the level 2 in yours, and it was wonderful to have that printed in the book. I can't tell you how many ebooks and print books I have. That's one of those things. And I was like, that means something to me. If somebody's going to go ahead and do that in my world, that's like the next level. And I was really surprised to start reading some Hachette books, and they on their website are starting to put WCAG EPUB.
Yeah. That's
so
cool.
I was really pleased. I was like, well, Reck was doing it first. So there you go.
Yeah, well, and so this is another thing that if you're an author and you're using Vellum or you're able to meet the WCAG guidelines, you can advertise it in your book, and it means something to the people who know or are looking for more accessible books, right? And so I definitely highly encourage, especially if you're going through the effort to make your book accessible, give yourself credit for it and put it in your front matter, because people look for that stuff. Yeah.
Well, and it's really nice. I mean, I absolutely love a well laid out ebook, because it's easy to get around. It's easy to figure out where things are. It just flows. And those are things I don't even recognize or think about. I just know I can interact with the book easily, quickly, to get where I last left off and pick up reading. So it's not, this is a function that helps everyone.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. All right, so let's talk a little bit more. When you and I first started talking, we had this it was a fascinating conversation about audiobooks. So Stumbling Up is on audio. And so at first I was like, well, do I need Braille? Because I've got it on audio. And then you were like, and it wasn't me being difficult. I was happy to go to Braille, but I didn't really understand because, audio is what I would assume folks who maybe can't read a book would go to. But you had this fascinating argument for why Braille is important. So
yeah, Braille is literacy. We wouldn't expect or ask a print reader, please don't buy my book, get the audio book instead, because that's the literacy. And how many of us, I mean, that is one thing I absolutely loved about the con. That was the vibe. I mean, everybody's there loves the written word.
Yeah.
And to interact with the written word in the manner in which you want to is important. And so being able to read the text, whether it's through Braille or the print, it's important.
It is really important. And I mean, you think about it, for those who follow my channel, have you ever watched me try to convince Pop to listen to a book? I mean, it's just impossible, right? So you need to have stuff that's available for people to read, right? It matters, right? And I think too, it's one of those things where from an accessibility standpoint, there's a lot of focus on like educational accessibility, right? So your science books, your biology books, your like learning stuff, right? But people need to have fun too. And that fun in reading is one of the ways that you 100% get literacy out of people, right?
Yeah, we don't get a rich language from reading anatomy books. We become eloquent with how we communicate. That is part of our education. And I was just having a conversation over this 250th with someone that, education is part of our citizenry. So when we have a literate population who enjoys the written word in whatever way that is, whether it's nonfiction, fiction, textbooks, a Sudoku, that's an informed, that's an educated populace. And that's important. It's important to me. And so I've been really grateful that I have found a path that enriches my life in numerous ways, because I love to read. And so that's what I do. I read, and I put what I read into Braille.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Alicia says, preach. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit, and you're going to sit there quietly because these are my words. Well, actually, first, somebody says, "Stacy, I love the argument of literacy. I can't follow audio; my brain drifts off, whereas print is engaging. I love that you are a champion the written word," and 100%
Awesome.
agree. And as somebody who
Thanks.
I actually kind of maybe prefer audio, I just never thought of it because my mindset was just a little bit different. So it's good to have different perspectives and have these conversations. Okay, so I'm going to talk for a second. You're going to be quiet, and yeah. So like I said, I've got BRF format available on my website. If you're looking for Braille books in e-format, the APH Lewis catalog is a place to find them, and I'm going to put that website in the chat for folks. And so if you look in there, Stumbling Up will be listed. And it'll at least book 2 links out to my website. I think book 1's available on the website. But they also have a listing directory of producers of accessible formats such as Braille, tactile graphics, large print, e-files, and audio. So there's a list of professionals that can help you get your stuff in those sorts of formats. So you can go there and check that out. There's also textbooks and recreational reading materials and titles on there that you can search by keywords. So you can kind of see if other LitRPG books are available on there. I think we did some initial searching, and like some of Eric Oglin's books are on there. I can't remember his first book off the top of my head, but there's a
Yep.
couple. There's a little bit, and one of the things that surprised me, and this I'm going to come back to you, is that there is actually a pretty like vibrant science fiction and fantasy sort of community that reads in Braille format.
Yeah, I was really shocked. I went to Worldcon and got to talking with some users there, the attendees,
Mhm.
and how they were getting around. If what did they need with the conference? I was really more interested at the initial onset of the conversation about how they were getting around on the con. Did they get Braille, or were they using some digital information? Were they emailed it? How were they enjoying it, basically?
Mhm.
And one guy was talking, more and more, explaining more. And I was like, okay, why are you here? Like, is this something? And he's like, oh, I grew up with this. This was really the only genre that had a lot of books that were available for me in Braille. And that shocked me. Like, wow. And he
Yeah.
was, 30 or 40 years older than me. And so it was the first time that I had opened my eyes that there were communities also that were interested in ensuring that their words reached a wide audience.
Yeah. And so what that means, this makes sense to me. You think about the science fiction fantasy community as a whole, and like technology and accessibility has always been like a thing that people have. Like you look at Star Trek and all.
Jordy.
Yeah, right. And so it doesn't surprise me, but it's very cool that like 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago that our science fiction and fantasy community as a whole was like cared enough to make sure that some of the writing was in Braille for folks. And it's like, makes my heart something I'm proud about like our genres, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
All right, let's talk a little bit more business. How does copyright work with Braille format?
Oh, that's interesting. So, one thing to know is that Braille is an encoding, it is not a different language. And there's been some changes over the past like 10 or 15 years. And part of that makes it so that authorized entities can put a book into Braille. An authorized entity is an organization whose focus is on providing for the visually impaired.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need, so those authorized entities do not need to obtain a special copyright in order to put a book into Braille. If Braille was another language, we're talking about a translation. It's not a translation, it's an encoding in a different format that is geared as an accessible format.
Mhm.
And so like you and I have a little bit different relationship because I am not an authorized entity in order to put it into Braille. I work for organizations that are that, but you and I got permission from the author.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's even better. That's the first of my career. So I was really excited about that
Bink.
component. Yes, Black's check for sure. Bucket list, boom.
Yeah. 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 So what that means is that these organizations technically could transcribe your book without necessarily seeking copyright approval. I think most of the, if not all of the organizations are nonprofits, right? They're not
Oh
profiting
yes.
off of your book.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's providing accessibility for your book. And so that actually led to this very awkward moment at Con where I went up to Eric and I was like, "Hey, Eric, so you got your book put in Braille too. Isn't that so cool?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?"
So one of the authorized entities had put his book into Braille.
Yeah, yeah, which is totally a thing, but it's funny because you technically you could have your work encoded into Braille and not necessarily ever be informed of such a thing, which is yeah.
Well, and so the interesting thing is when it's free to learn and be certified as a Braille transcriber here in the United States. And the final lesson is you need to do a certain amount of pages in Braille of a transcription. And so oftentimes what you find is people that are doing that maybe work for one of these authorized organizations or want to become a contractor with them or whatever the reason. So they'll do for their certification the beginning of a book and then enjoy it so much they're like, this is something I need to finish. Get their feet wet with something that's fun and enjoyable. So that may have been how his books ended up.
that makes sense because his books are a little bit, they're not the chonky 200,000 word books either. They're a little bit shorter, so that could make a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so I want to make sure that our audience gets some of their questions answered. So if you've got a question for Stacy or me, I'm experienced on the author side of this, and obviously Stacy has a lot of the answers, but it's kind of fun having us both here because we get that two sides of this. Yeah, apparently Laurel needs to practice her Braille reading because it's been years. It's awesome that you you can read Braille.
Yay!
Yeah. Hey. That's achievement unlocked, even that you can do it or have been able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I was just looking at the comments and yeah, it's the Louis library, the Louis. And the reason I have a story, so it's not Louis, it's
okay.
Louis.
Sorry.
And I grew up in Colorado and moved to Louisiana and was sent to go pick something up for work. And I was told to go and take a left on Louisville. And I looked around for about 15, 20 minutes for Looey because Louisville is in Colorado. That name, but Louis Braille, there you go.
Okay. Yeah. Did I get the website right though?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Looks right to me.
Tal says he's from Louisiana, wants to know what part.
I was driving from Natchitoches up to Ruston. And I got lost in the Monroe, Ruston area.
There you go. We've got another question. How do you collaborate to change a graphic like a map or some such in Braille format? Can you just explain how that works, especially if the author isn't fluent in Braille?
Okay, so well, Reck doesn't have any maps, and the few graphics as of right now didn't get put into their Braille book.
Yeah.
But if I'm working on like a textbook, there was no change. It's whatever was printed that's going to go into the hands of a student in the classroom. That's what there would be. So I wouldn't have to change the graphic from what it appears in the print book. It would be a faithful reproduction of that print for a Braille reader.
And if it's a single line Braille reader, that's where you rely on the description of the image over an actual graphic.
Right. Yeah. And then like authors that aren't, we don't expect our authors to be fluent in Braille. I mean, that's why
Thank
I'm
goodness.
here, right?
Yeah.
But it was interesting discussing with you about the certain components, like the typography that we were running into. But also, if down the road a map was wanting to be done or something, we could definitely have a conversation and just say, oh, this is how this would be or how this would look.
Yeah.
It's more of a conversation, and once we start conversating, it might veer off from the actual point.
A lot of times that happens. You and I get on Discord and then we end up talking for an hour and we're like, yeah. Where do you in Louisiana? Where you know? Yeah. So Laurel asks, is there a way to create a raised map for a Braille book so they could feel the shape of it?
Yeah, for sure. So there's different ways to create tactile graphics. The most popular and the quickest in today's environment is an embossed. It just has a finer. And when I say fine, I think we're down to like 9 points per inch, maybe 7. I can't really remember. But it's dots that are embossed in the paper, and they are just finely put together, and they can be wide and so have multiple embossing points, or they don't even emboss as high up in the paper, so you can have them be a little bit lower, and that's all done by grayscale. So I use Corel Draw for my tactile graphics. So if I have a 10% 1-point line, that's significantly different than a 2.100% black line. And so when we do a map, we rely on some guidelines that tell us about this is the guideline for how you should interpret the print map in order to make it into Braille. And so for a raised map, I just lay down the map and then I draw over the roads. And the big thing in some of these tactile graphics is, and also when we're reading Braille, is it's not always what's there. It's the negative space. It's what's not there. It's the blank lines. It's the indentation. It's the space around something that conveys meaning and information. A reader is going to be looking for a centered heading. They're looking for that blank line as they're running their hand down the page to find, okay, I'm looking for this next chapter. I'm looking for this figure information. And for that raised map, they're also looking for that space that might be around a label that's in Braille.
Mm-hmm. That's actually fascinating. And now I have a new author bucket list item. I want a Braille map on my wall at some point here of one of my books. This is going to happen.
Well, Thursday you might have a Braille Richard.
Ooh, okay. That's also amazing.
Yeah, I have some surprises for you for this weekend, so I'm real excited about it. Yeah,
got some surprises for you too, so we're gonna have some fun. Okay, so, yeah, go ahead.
Laura was saying, I remember embossed animals from a children's book, but I've never seen anything like it as an adult book. See, and okay, we got to roll into. I'm one where why does everything that is put into Braille, why does it always have to have information? Where's the fun stuff? So yeah, Reck has been gracious along with
with Morpheus,
the illustrator.
Yeah. Morpheus gave his, and I would call out to Morpheus, he gave his permission for all of his images to go into Braille as well. So yeah.
So we're hoping that when this goes into a multi-line Braille down the road, that can possibly incorporate the graphics, that we can have those graphics available for a reader. And, prior to doing the embossing that I was describing, there was the collage method where you had, embossing, but you also had textures either glued or stickered or sewn into the page. And that is...
those are heirloom items, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a frog. It's really interesting. I did a frog dissection, And it seemed like it was a very simple graphic. I mean, in print, it's the frog with the labels, but in Braille, it was 3 different pages.
Yeah, I guess I mean, that would be, yeah, it would be hard to execute all of the details of the
Yeah, and to
anatomy.
kind of show what's layered on top of each other.
It's like one of the old encyclopedias with the transparency, and you're just peeling away each layer of frog biology. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yeah, you can see what's happening underneath because they layer in. By the time you put 3 pages of transparency, you can see the 3 layers of whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Oral says their grandmother had a ton of embroidery around because she loved the textures. Yeah.
It's funny because when I worked at a district, and that was something that I started doing, was I would put like French knots for some dots and things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I loved working in the district because at Christmas I would work to create a little handbook for the kids to take home that had fun things like a maze. And the interesting thing about like doing the maze, as sighted, we see it as a white space that we draw in or follow. But the maze I made was the raised components were what was followed.
Is what you were following. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And we told the kids, as you go around, you can smash the dots down. This is Braille. You're meant to smush. So that was even better because, sometimes it gets so bored. You pick off the dots or get mad at it.
That's awesome. Defacing the yeah, I love it. Well, Stacy, you're coming to LitRPG Con. I can't wait to see you.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and you're also, we wanted to make sure that, if you've been following along, right, you know that I'm running the indie author booth 1819 in the vendor hall, and Stacy is actually volunteered to help out, and she's going to be there Saturday afternoon and parts of Sunday morning with some in-person stuff that you can kind of take a look at.
Braille. I've got Braille for you. You betcha.
So if you're interested, I'm hoping that we've sold a bunch of books and we have some extra space on the table. If not, we'll just shuffle some stuff around. But we'll have a spot with Stacy there. She'll be talking books, but like also come up, have a conversation with Stacy about Braille, and come smash some dots. Why not?
Yeah. I love the vibe of the con. And when you were asking me about the booth, because I had said I would be happy to help out, I'm like, I'm there at the con for the vibe. I am there to talk to people, to do things. And last year, the one big thing I really wanted is I want to find a new author. I want that one story that speaks to me. I want to make a connection with somebody. And look, here we are. So that's my same goal, is to just reach out, to touch base, to get to know at least one person better, and to develop that kind of rapport and just enjoy it. And what better way than to be at the author's booth and be able to be like, hey, have you happen to have read this?
Yeah. Have you seen this book? Have you smashed these dots yet?
Yeah. Give me a few moments. I can sell for you. I'm good at that.
Yeah. So just
don't give me money just to shut me up, Reck.
That's right. Doubtful, but hey, if it works, we'll be selling books, right? But yeah, so you should come by Saturday afternoon, like I think it's like 2 to 5-ish, just kind of the shifts in there, and then some of Sunday morning too. So come by and check it out and talk to Stacy, and you'll have business cards and stuff too. So if you're interested in having further conversations with her, yeah.
Zine. If you want to emboss lizards, I hope you meet Zine. Okay, I'm curious. Who's Zine?
Yeah, tell us more.
Or Zine?
I'm not even gonna try. Okay, while we're waiting for more information about that person, let's talk about other things that authors can do to help make their stuff more accessible. So we talked about the what is it?
Headings. Metadata headings. Vellum, Ace by Daisy, which is a downloadable free thing too that they could downloadable. I don't know about it, but it's something that you can check your accessibility.
The CWAG, the
WCAG guidelines.
WCAG guidelines. Yep.
Yeah. And then there's also with part of ACE, it's like an ACE Smart. So if you can't quite figure out how to meet the results that you get to make your publication better, the ACE Smart has some components about how to do that, like with especially with the metadata. So it's been really fascinating that these things are available for publishers.
Yeah, yeah, and not just publishers, but also you as an indie author who's pushing your stuff out. So
If you're an indie author, I'm calling you a publisher because
yeah,
you are
fair.
wearing all the
You
hats. You
are
deserve all the titles.
100%. And if you are with a publisher, you can write into your contracts that you want to meet a certain WCAG standard. Like that's a very appropriate thing that you're concerned about when you enter an agreement with a publisher. And most of them will probably be like, oh, no problem, because they use Vellum anyway to format your novel. So make sure that you talk about this with your publisher. If accessibility is important to you, this should be a conversation that they should be willing to have with you. And honestly, it's a red flag if they don't, right?
Thank you.
I'm just saying it out loud. Okay, some other things that you should be aware of if you are doing your own stuff, your branding and graphics. You should be able to talk to your artist or your graphic design to talk about colorblind tests to make sure that your website and your branding and stuff is accessible for folks. And that also works on like books and like your font and stuff. And something that I want to personally call out, if you follow me on TikTok, you know that I have captions on all of my TikToks. And that is for our hard of hearing folks. I've got some very like personal, close folks in my family that are hard of hearing, and it is a lifesaver for them to have on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook Reels, to have captions on there, because those apps don't necessarily auto-generate them unless you're doing it as a creator, right? So it's just a button. It auto-generates them, you guys. It auto-generates them. You just hit the button and it boops it on, right? So put captions on stuff, please.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I've always loved closed captioning. And in India, they have multiple closed captionings for the various languages, and they showed a distinct increase in literacy and the being able to be dual language because of that.
That's awesome.
I think it's really important. Yeah, it's more of the reading the written word.
Yeah. And also, you're absolutely right. Auditory processing disorders also really benefit from closed captions. So just hit that button when you're making your TikTok, okay? It's at the bottom with all the other edit stuff, right?
Love it. Yeah.
And then in con spaces like LitRPG Con, having accessibility director is really important, because they allow for things like being able to have priority seating and having seating available for people, closed captioning. Geneva worked really hard to get closed captioning in the Colorado room this year. So everything that's happening in that space will have the closed captioning. And the hope is that with that, that they'll be able to do that in some of the other rooms as the con grows. So yeah, super exciting.
That would be incredible.
Yeah. If you've got any other ideas or tips or tricks for folks, Stacy and I maybe know a little bit about this, but like the community, like put your ideas in the chat, reach out to us and let us know. Love to keep this conversation going. It only helps everybody, right?
Yeah, this was just like a baseline conversation, and I by no means know everything that is happening in this world. I mean, it is just the bare minimum of everything that is out there.
Yeah. So keep tips and tricks coming. We're not by no means the know-it-alls of all of it, right? But I love to hear what you think would make a difference that authors could do to help communities access their books more. Yeah.
Having conversations like this has been right at the top of my list.
Yeah, I think we need more conversation. I mean, we've had a huge turnout for this particular conversation, and I will say that this conversation is recorded. So if you didn't catch the beginning because you came in late, or if you have friends that you think would be interested in it, go ahead and share it out. Get word out. The more we know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for coming in tonight. That's just fabulous. I love it. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So a couple last questions for you, Stacy. Let's say someone has listened to our thing, or they talk to you at the con and they're really interested in getting their book transcribed. How would you suggest they go about doing that or reaching out?
You can reach out to me, Stacy at fontenot.com. That's FONTTO.font2. Also, there's the lighthouse organizations that can put you in touch locally with individuals. You can reach out to the authorized entities, these large scale organizations, and learn more about it. And just participate at the library. Just go to the library.
Yeah. There is a lot of resources out there for folks who want to have their stuff transcribed. And like I said, also on the Louis the Louis website, like I said, they also have that like search directory of, different types of professionals that can help you with various types of
I promise you, at your public library, if you go talk to your librarian and you want something in Braille, they'll pause for a minute and possibly be very happy that it's a unique request. That might be something unique for them.
Yeah, 100%. And I married a librarian. They will be more than happy if they don't know, find the information for you.
Oh, and so Jen, we're going to have even more conversations. Oh, that library information.
Dun, dun, dun. Yep. All right. So I know you're going to be at LitRPG Con. Do you have any other cons or any other events that you're going to be at this year, Stacy?
No, there's a few possible like Braille related cons, conventions. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in terms of having fun in literary, this is my big one.
This is the big one. Yeah. Well, if you had to just pick one, this is the one to pick, right? So yeah.
Yes. I mean, when I learned about it last year, I'm like, okay, I'm not even questioning it. Just take my money. We're going.
Yeah. Okay. And real quick, your email, is it Fontenot? Is it FONTTODOT? Okay. Yeah. All right. So, okay.
STACY. Yeah.
Yay. Okay. Thanks for that.
Tutu.
Okay. All right. I fixed it in the chat. So hopefully, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So email the right Stacy. Yeah. All right. So Stacy, we always end the podcast with, if you had one book to put on people's TBR, what would it be? What's your suggestion?
I knew this question was coming, and it was one that I had been thinking on, and I came up with one that I have read numerous times, and it's totally off genre. It's Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman. It is it's a autobiographical vignette of Richard Feynman, the Nobel laureate physicist. And it's really wonderful because you can read it in chunks and get specific points, but it talks about him starting as a kid and fixing a TV by thinking about it. And then moving into his time with the Manhattan Project, and also how his math worked out, and uniquenesses in the print community with how math constants were printed and how they were using them in order to get what turned out to be his massive theory he shared. And then even more going into his research and understanding, and then ultimate explanation to Congress about the Challenger explosion. So it has poignant.
Sounds like it has it all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amusing, it's poignant, and it really speaks to me because I always feel like I can come out the other end of that and go about my day and conquer.
feel like you can do it. Yeah.
Muscles grew that day, kind of thing.
All right, I love it. So whenever we're in a writing slump, we need to listen to that one and get inspired.
And Feynman is Feynman, but you'll find it. Surely You're Joking, Miss Feynman. And he plays bongos. It's a great story. Lots of good ones in there.
Feyman.
Feynman. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a thing about math, so of course I had to go with 100%. A theoretical physicist.
Take that, pop.
Now go read it, Pop Pop.
Yeah, come on, Pop Pop, you can do it. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure talking with you, Stacy. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And if you want more, reach out to Stacy. She's going to be at LitRPG Con. There's going to be dots to smash.
We're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Right. Thanks again, Reck, and thanks everyone for joining tonight.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.